to on this one. There was just too much information in this one to get to it. And this is more like a seminal kind of a group where we gather the information that can go and be used in our various groups. So I don't think we're devaluing or giving up the book group at all.
Good.
So don't worry
Good.
about that.
Thank you all. I have to go. Lose my voice too.
Good to see you, Dave.
Good to see you all.
Jeannie, would you like to add anything to?
Yeah, sure. I think that I'm kind of echoing Shelley in a way that process is incredibly important, group process is incredibly important for something, these transition initiatives, and that they have the right idea by having this anti-hierarchical thrust and so on. But I think that dominance in relationships is just everywhere in almost every relationship that you're in, unless you're trying to do something to have it not be there. And I would like to see kind of an anti-dominance thread going through everything that we would do, and that of course would include things like anti-racism and dealing with sexism. I did notice in looking at the pictures, on some of the things that they had done with these transition projects, that there were a lot of male faces there, not that many female faces. Maybe
We're much more happy with this one.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just think that, a lot of how I see this transition movement, I don't know that much about it, but I did read the book twice, is that it's really about recreating our society. That this is a major, we have gone in this direction with the fossil fuels and domination relationships and all of it for a long time. It's turning, and I think if we're going to turn it, let's try and take into account everything that needs to get turned, and not just get too focused on some particular piece of it. So anyway, I guess I'm saying focus on process, focus on dealing with domination. Another thought, and eliminating domination as much as possible, and dealing with those kinds of problem situations that you were talking about, Shelley. And another thought I have is about our relationships with nature. I think being explicit that nature is part of who our community is relating to or something, and being concerned at all aspects about those relationships we have with nature and how we're treating nature. I think that the transition initiatives may be pretty human focused. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that much about it, but
Nature rights, like certain things have to be protected.
Yeah, and more than that, maybe somebody should be speaking for nature, or half the group should be speaking for nature in a group, or, I don't know how we would do it, but I just see that as a concern that I would like to have in there. And my last point is, I don't live in Fayetteville. If we're having a Fayetteville transition, and that's what it is, it's like, I'm kind of left out. I don't live here. I know
We'll extend it down to St. Paul.
Well, I know one of the ways that he talked about it in here is having, that there's, he's kind of talking about the scale of your project or something, and that maybe 5,000 people or up to 15,000 was your ideal. Well, Fayetteville's bigger than that. And so that you could have a hub, like could happen in a city with neighborhoods or something, but maybe we could be talking about a hub, a hub project, and there'd be neighborhoods in Fayetteville, but then there'd be outlying areas too, or something like that. Anyway, I'd like us to consider having, both a very small focus and a large focus, selfishly.
Well, I think that would happen if you were part of it.
Yeah, but if we were acknowledging that it was happening, it would be easier on a meeting-to-meeting basis or whatever.
There are you know, people around and about, not so far away too, that have been, like I said, focused on.
Right, right. And just part of this group, you know, Lolly is another one that's not,
Remote world.
yeah.
Aubrey, did you want to contribute to,
No.
the question
Okay.
was there one aspect of the transition that particularly interests you?
Well, what I work on all the time is protecting nature and you know, things like the $1 billion spent on mowing could be eliminated in the United States. Fossil fuels going up,
Right.
you know, all the things that destroy nature. The mowing along the highways, just as the native wildflowers are starting to bloom, and those old big mowers take out, and then they dredge out the ditch where some of the best ones grow. And, you know, those are the things I'm close to. Yeah, the milkweed. I've got a nice place I go to photograph common milkweed. It's along the railroad, and there's a ditch, and this mower is already this year, just as that was about to come in bloom. The very week it was starting to bloom, they mowed right off the side. Now, why anybody would mow a slope? You see these places along the highway. So all that kind of thing. It's very much hands-on things that I'm interested in. But they all, you know, each blade of grass that goes down is something that's not cleansing the air.
Yeah.
You know, you see this short stubble of stuff. Those tall plants, whether trees or grass or shrubs, they're all helping to do what we're trying to do with the climate. And they do it naturally. So that's what I focus on all the time.
Ida, do you have something you would like to contribute?
Yeah. I just feel extremely grateful to be here among you all, because I can see how much wisdom of awareness of what's happening you have, and how you're applying that and what you're trying to create in your own lives and individually. And the thing that, there's a couple of things, you know, like I'm really touched, Aubrey, by what you're saying about how you care about nature and what you see about the plants. Also, I could not echo loudly enough Shelley's concern about communication and us being able to work together in a positive way. I think that's extremely important. And I like Jeannie's idea of non-dominance, you know, so that, because I see, part of what I see happening, why we need to do this, is because love in our world, I know this probably will sound stupid to some people, but love in our world has become, love is a powerful energy, and it nourishes abundance. Abundance of water, abundance of land. I'm trained by a Native American woman who's a 27th generation carrier of Native wisdom. And when that love is withdrawn, as we are seeing in our government and so on, it diminishes the water and it diminishes everything. So I think that we are about, and this is one of the things I love about OMNI, we are about, we're working with the land, we're working with the water, but we are also working with each other. And that's that relationship of nature and human beings. It needs to be renewed. And I think if we got some Native people in here, it would be really, really good. You know, some traditional thinkers and, you know, people, because how you warm your heart with care for your community is a very important process.
Well, I would love to have Are you connected with Native Americans who could come? And
I don't know anybody locally, but I could try to find some.
I know I was at a goddess festival, and there was a woman, I think she was from Oklahoma, who was representing, she said she was Cherokee. And I know, well, of course in Oklahoma, it was huge.
There's a lot more in Oklahoma.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, like,
We threw them into Oklahoma, right?
yeah.
In fact, there's a film about that shocked me, that a lot of the Cherokees that went on the Trail of Tears, they owned their own plantations.
Oh, yeah.
They were
That's
from,
slaves.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and then Georgia just wanted their land.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's what it
It's
was
just-
about. My Cherokee
No.
teacher, my Cherokee teacher, her relatives escaped the Trail of Tears and integrated into other races to hide themselves so they could maintain their ceremonies. And, you know, she carries that story. She's just now, I think, starting to tell a few people the story. I mean, she was made reference to it. She's been teaching since she was a young woman. She's 70-ish now. And, you know, that is exactly what happened.
You're not talking about Deanna Robb.
I am.
Oh, okay. I've met her years and years and years, when she was young.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
Old and gorgeous.
old and gorgeous. So, yes, so powerful.
Okay, thank you. One last item that, I was going to just toss one other thing in here that I forgot to mention. The way that resilience operates with peak oil as opposed to global warming. He points out that New York City is actually a very low emissions city, and that, you know, they have good public transportation, they have a very condensed population, lots of apartment dwellers that really are very energy efficient apartments. So for a metropolitan city, they are a very low emission city, but they are actually extremely if their power system goes down, they are in such a big problem. Everything stops. And that,
Saw that several years ago.
right.
Well, it's
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah, so, you know, thinking, if we're only thinking about the global warming part of it, how much more serious it is to think about the peak oil and what we're actually doing about that part of it is a key piece of it.
But we can't even afford to run out of oil.
We
I
can't-
know, the global warming has got us before we run out.
Yeah, and so we got to start thinking about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, Maya, and you didn't get in on it?
No, I don't have anything to contribute. I'm just listening.
Okay.
I missed the whole thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a good time with my company.
Okay, good. But you came anyway. Okay, well, the last piece of it then is, can I just read you these notes that I got from our conversation and just see if there are things people would like to take a hunk of and report on in the next presentation.
You know what, Gladys? Chris and I are going to be at the EJ conference and we're going to be at the CCL conference
Okay, so
until
can you?
the 27th. I don't know that I could, and then I'm going to be dead on my feet.
Okay, so it should not be you. But
Right, it should not be
It
me.
should not
Okay.
be either
Okay,
one.
I have a good excuse on that one.
Yeah. But there are still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other people here who could potentially take some chunk of information. So the stuff that I have on this list are local local currencies, community involvement, conflict resolution, I guess, communication skills. Then, I mean, there's a lot of little things here, like family master plan and elder care, and I will type these up and send these out to everybody. Sister cities, bartering and time trades. The group process, a couple of different people talked about the group process, that might be a useful thing. The place of nature. Okay, so that's probably kind of, there's a lot of notes, but that's kind of some of the things. So do any of those things sound like something that you would like to make a further report on?
Are you thinking about reporting for the next meeting, this group? Just
Oh, are you?
reporting?
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're asking for a report on. What kind of thing?
Do a little bit of research and think in terms, and I mean, it could be like what's covered in this book or the transition companion that you're going to find about that topic. What more can you report? Or you might expand it beyond those two sources and look for other things that you think would be important for people to consider about that topic when it's, as we're considering what to do with this information.
Does he, I have not, like I said, I didn't get that far in the book yet, but does he talk about mechanisms for reducing dependence on fossil fuels beyond just using less? I mean, does he talk about pricing mechanisms or regulations or anything like that?
No, he's not talking about any of those things. What he's doing is talking about getting neighbors together to create
Doing
a
totally
local
bottom-up.
infrastructure. He's talking about relocalization
Okay.
and rebalance on a local level. So starting new businesses that address those issues on a local level. He's not working with, and also policy, because he believes very much in working with local governments. And you know, depending on the level, for instance, if we had a regional network, this regional network, it would make sense for our regional network to be working with some of the First Congress or other local networks that are involved with the same thing, to be pushing policy on whatever level was appropriate, but it always is tied at a local level.
Well, if I could find a way to make it to what we learned at the CCO conference, or any way the carbon theme dividend or carbon pricing fits into that, that will be something that I will be able to report on without too much effort.
All right.
I'd be happy to talk to a few people that have the same visions, values, and tell them that, you know, people are talking about that and willing to make a certain effort group. See what they say.
Okay.
I really like your idea of finding a sister city to work
Yeah.
with. I don't know what the closest one would be, or if we
How do you find them? Do you have any connections? Do you have?
I would ask them.
She said we have 155 in the
United
United
States.
States. It's probably listed in these books, isn't it?
No, neither one of those books is. Those are both British books. The websites are incredible.
Transition.
TransitionUS.org is an incredible resource. And it has tracking in there that you can click on the map and look and see who's in that area. They have addresses and emails and all kinds of information about these people.
Why don't you find the closest sister city and see what
I'll
initiatives they've done?
do a little research into that.
But it's not only not geographically closer, but perhaps similar.
Right.
I agree.
Science,
I think so too, like
geography.
in a university town. or-
Yeah, the university's not.
It won't perfectly match, but
Something
it's
that
some
will-
important ways to match up.
You know, Santa Fe is the obvious one.
Santa
There's so much connection. I'm not the only one here from Santa Fe. There's a lot of connection between here and Santa Fe.
Is there, does he talk about transportation in the book, you know, alternative transportation? So, there's a pretty cool video about Santa Cruz, and that's a university town similar to Fayetteville, and about apparently their community access television there made a video about PRT, personal rapid transit. So it's 15 minutes, and it's on YouTube, so it might be something you might want to see.
What is
So
that?
are you volunteering to like come ready to show us there and do some discussion about
Yeah,
this?
can I bring up YouTube on there and just show it from
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can.
Okay, sure, yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about PRT, and mainly it'll be showing that 15-minute. They did such a great job, you know, and it's amazing how similar it was to Fayetteville.
And I think that's important because what we have for resources and what we're going to need for coordination is going to be similar.
Oh,
I think, you know, even more than geographical locality.
PRT
Did you
is,
say that was San Antonio?
no, it's Santa Cruz, California.
I think we should invite Bob Munger back. He was here a few months ago talking about these little cars that he and Michael Wally are putting together, the little electric cars. Mike might come, I don't know, but Bob has been here before.
What's his name again?
Bob Munger and Michael Wally have started a little business of these little electric,
Is that the sumo car?
yeah, little sumo cars, right? These little e-vehicles, tiny little vehicles that you can like use to, you can just pay for it on your iPhone, or whatever you've got. You just like, punch it in that you're paying for the
What
car,
next?
and take it off wherever you need to go, just in town. They got it, it was part of the system that if we get a little, or light rail or something here, you pick up a little car, take it to the light rail, and someone else, and so there will be little meters around town where you can leave the cars.
There's been a study on light rail, Northwest Arkansas, about somebody like.
Stephen Maloney,
Yeah,
right?
2000. Anyways, just short run.
This is a huge topic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about changing our lives and changing the world. That's not small.
But it's surrendering to the idea that we're going to keep the population growing this fast. And what you said earlier about your experience, that's the most important thing. People have to quit reproducing at the same rate worldwide, and not any race or
Well, I
any
think with
difference.
all what they're doing with their food supply, you're going to find a lot of sterility is occurring.
Oh, God.
I
Well, that
believe
may
you're
be
going to find
true.
that out.
So,
It's already, they've found that out.
But a light rail in Arkansas, I mean in Fayetteville,
uh,
where would you
Portsmouth,
put it?
Bella Vista, it'd be on the old train routes.
on the existing train tracks.
Yes.
Have you ridden the train back and forth?
I have not.
Well, there's no room for them to continue to operate. You can't run passenger trains very fast on there, and you've only got one rail. There's no place for sidings.
Yeah, I mean,
And
you would have to look at the study there, I'm pretty sure.
You have to
they were
destroy another million.
Yeah,
Trees and so
We
forth.
can knock it off on that, because we don't have.
Yeah, that's way in the future, yeah. We need first to get
Maybe a
people.
whole list of reasons why PRT is superior to light rail.
Right, but yeah, just the thing is, if people would ride the bus, we could get people riding the buses, we could afford more buses. And it would be, that's real. That's gone on all my life. We rode buses in World War II, didn't have a car. My family did until I was 8 years old, so. Yeah, those are fantasy things, really, in your lifetime, in this situation. It's not going to happen.
So I've got, Ida's going to do some research about sister cities. Chris is going to do some outreach to some people. Shelley's going to talk about carbon pricing if it seems to fit in. Bill's going to talk about transportation. The things that don't have somebody talking about it that come up are local currencies, communication of group process, and relation to nature.
I'll talk about group process, domination, that could include relationship to nature too.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know that I'm talking about communication skills. That's beyond the scope of what I think I would talk about.
Okay, and that's different
If
category.
there's anybody else who would be willing to work on communication skills, I don't think I'm on the work on all of that. I'd be happy to, participate in something else. Like I've done conflict resolution, consensus decision making, nonviolent communication, another methodology I'm aware of. If there's anybody else.
Well, okay, so we don't have to cover all these topics this time, so maybe you might want to do that within a group that might develop after we have that conversation next time.
Yeah, I think I just think it's vital because I think to me, we're renewing this, how I think of this is we're renewing the group. We're renewing our relationship to the earth and our relationship to each other to have more balance and love.
Some of the things you just said, I was thinking, in terms of group, what I would
Cover.
conceivably talk about, like consensus would be one thing. I wasn't thinking about that as exactly a communication skill. I was thinking about that as a process.
It is a process, but it requires communication.
Right. Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah, it's just,
That's
it's
the hard
very, they're very closely integrated.
And then the thing I think I'm going to talk about is, I'm going to just touch very briefly on the companion book, so that we have kind of put that into there, and we have kind of a sense of some of the other things that groups are doing around the country.
So the goal for the next meeting is to talk briefly about that book and then discuss these topics. And what is the focus of the topics specifically? For Fayetteville or for transition towns?
A potential transition project in Fayetteville or Northeast Arkansas.
Okay.
Comfortable watch? Yeah. There's a ways to go before we got.
Yeah.
Let me just mention,
Preparing
Robert,
for lunch.
Robert and I have just gone through this process that Anna Weeks sent us, where we have to write a campaign plan for development of private fee and dividend in Arkansas. And it is really focusing, and it requires looking with extreme detail at what your goals are, what allies you want to enlist, what opposition you have to face, what your resources are, what the political landscape is. I mean, all of this sort of thing. So I think if we're going to be thinking about actually starting this project, it wouldn't hurt to use this tool to help us define what our goal is in this case.
And which tool are you referring to?
It's called a campaign, what's it called?
It's a
Campaign.
campaign plan guide,
Yeah, campaign plan.
creating a proposal for a campaign plan.
Yeah.
to guide you.
I'll get it to you. I'll get it to Gladys, and then we'll,
Have it.
we will have it.
Yeah, no. I'm not, but people we got. Up here.
That's it, right?
Wow.
I'm sorry.
This is it.
Let's see.
Gladys already has it? Oh, you had it. Oh, you had it. Chris already had it. Chris is going to be helping us write the campaign.
Oh, wow.
So you don't have to
Or
read.
CCL.
You don't have to read the whole thing, but starting on page 62, I think 62 to 80, it's like filling out essay questions, and it's just, you fill them out. And of course, it takes some effort to fill them out and to make it coherent, which Chris is helping us with, and Bruce McMahon. So we're gradually going to do this for carbon pay dividend, but it's just a really handy tool.
Wow.
And before you go, please remember to take the June 22nd call-in materials and also the little flyer. And eat cookies.
And drink lemonade. And how many books, transition companions do you want?
How many books were, I'm thinking two.
Well, they call
I
it.
just got mine in the mail yesterday, so.
Is that just on author, editor?
Same guy.
He's the editor of this one.
You think 4? How much are they?
It depends.
I think they're 4. The newer ones are more, aren't they?
I think I paid 11 something for mine, no shipping even. This one, I paid $3.45 for, no shipping.
You think 4 would be enough?
I don't know.
I'd like to have one.
Oh, I thought you said you can. Okay.
No, I don't have one of those.
Okay.
I have this.
You want 5? Okay, and what are we going to do to, was there something that didn't go out for this meeting that should go out this time?
Yes.
And are you going to be here in time to do that?
If someone else would do it, that would be incredible. I'll send you the list. But Maya sent me the list, and then I just dropped the ball because I had just too much going on. So I didn't send it. Gladys did send it to me. I really dropped the ball on this one. But next month, I should be back in time to send out an announcement. I'll be back like the 28th.
Would you like me to send you an email to remind you to send out an announcement? When would you like me to do that?
The 29th.
The 29th. Okay.
Where did you get this?
So that came from the Arkansas
there on the environmental committee.
From Anna Weeks. I'm in love with Anna Weeks.
And they're a great resource, and you know, if this gets up and going, if you're looking to go out broader, they have a lot of organizational skills.
Anna is a treasure. She's the environment director. She's the new environmental director. They never had one before. She talk about people skills and unbelievable skills. I can
Do you
just,
want this? I
I
don't
don't
know.
mind.
If you want it,
Yeah,
just take it.
I would really like to have it as a
thank you, Chris.
No.
So Anna Weeks is who?
Anna Weeks is the environment director for the Arkansas Public Policy Panel.
Okay, something about sending out information for events. I noticed from different groups, I started getting things a week late. And so one day I went down to I'd received a package a week late down at the post office, and I asked the lady at the desk, and she said, well, if you mail it in any of the towns here or in Fayetteville, it goes to Memphis, and then it's sorted, and it comes back here. So if you're mailing something for public policy or on any other group that you're involved in, get it in the mail more than a week before the event. In the mail. I mean, this used to be overnight, right? It's not anymore.
Because they've managed to make it more fuel.
Well, it's very efficient to have the same group of people over there do it with their machines.
It's not
It's
all the
stupid.
time, because one time I sent something to Robert, I put it in the mailbox on Tuesday, he had it on Wednesday in Fort Smith.
Yeah,
I don't know how that happened.
that's great. It used to be common though. I don't know how that one, what difference in some of the directions it's going.
Is there a plan for the meeting after next for the book club? Or is it just kind of like,
Not that I'm aware
will you
of.
switch
At
books?
some point, I'm going to do a presentation on ecofeminism and activism, but
Maybe in August, second of July.
So you'll figure
it
that
could
out.
be August or September, either of those would be fine for me.
I'm just curious about Dick's point, you know, if you are gonna, if this is gonna take off, will you continue to talk about it here at next meetings or start saying something? So, maybe not even to that stage yet. I was just
We may
curious.
not, I think next month, we need to see if we can get more people here and see if
So that's a
there's
big-
somebody.
Try to get more people here.
Yeah. Because there needs to be a group of people who are not overcommitted. Who are not overcommitted.
Oh,
I don't know anyone who's not.
And see, that was very helpful that I don't arrive, because she's not entirely overcommitted.
Not entirely, no. That's true. I'm really looking for a real focus back
Right, hang with us a little bit
No,
and you'll get
yeah.
over it.
Yeah, to really be of use, because I'm an action-oriented person, you know. It's like theory's good, but get on it.
Well, I mentioned this meeting to a couple friends and they knew about transition towns, so that's a good sign, and it's exciting to see this being talked about. It's sort of an umbrella of so many different things where you can focus in the local community, so it's great.
Well, I emailed Matt Pattygard,
Yeah,
just Alderman, and
I was with
told
him
him
before I came here. We're good friends.
Well, he, you know, and I knew he'd gone to Power Down several years ago.
Okay.
And so I thought he could kind of tell us how it might relate to Power Down. But,
Power down being,
Power Down's the Heinberg model, the Robert Heinberg? Richard Heinberg model, that is talking about the same thing, you know, how's it going to happen. It doesn't have a grassroots model to actually operate it. So what Matt said was, Power Down is good, but transition is also something that actually makes something happen. And Power Down is a theory. And there's not that many things that are actually doing stuff on the ground.
so the things kids my age are talking about these days is guerrilla urbanism So creating like this, your own homemade sign that says, 5-minute walk to the farmer's market, or this, or kind of doing that thing. That's what's getting them motivated. So maybe,
I would love to.
We talk about that.
Yeah.
That would be great for you.
I am not an expert at all. I'm in the periphery hearing about it.
So who do we get to talk to us about
I can ask around and come back and see if I can find
that?
something.
You know what, let me ask you one thing